Today, this series is on a question: how can you overcome the fear or spirit of the dead? This is a discussion point on the realm of dreams. Have you ever had a dream that thereafter the exactness of what you saw in the dream happened in the physical life? I have experienced such several times since my childhood. Let's look at the story of Niels Bohr. One of such dreams was that of the Danish physicist Niels Bohr, born 1885, died 1962. Niels had a dream that he was sitting on a sun consisting of a burning gas. The planets brushed by threateningly with an impression of being tied by tenuous threads to the sun around which they orbited. Suddenly, gas, sun, and the planets shrank and froze. Bohr woke up and knew instantly that he had just seen the structure of the atom in the dream. Following his laboratory research on the atom science, in 1922, this visionary dream he had brought him the Nobel Prize in physics. The story of Matthew, of which the principal subject of discourse we will use today. The story of Matthew had battled with his deceased father. Let me tell you the story of Matthew, who has lost a fortune to religious prophet following the fear vibrations that gripped him. Matthew and his only sister were seeing his deceased father in their dreams, standing in front of them for a while, looking at them without saying a word. This wasn't just dreaming without experience effects. Every time they had such dream, something unpleasant did happen, and continued non-stop until the intervention, a story you will be hearing now. Matthew's father died suddenly in England and was suspected of being poisoned. Or suspected to have been poisoned. Matthew was undergoing his National Youth Service assignment upon university graduation when his father passed away. He was employed in one of the commercial banks in Nigeria 2 weeks before the father's funeral at the local community in Ukele local government area of Delta State in Nigeria. From his second month's salary until the day he was retrenched, 70% of his salary was passed to the fortunes of private churches who claimed, and private and churches who claimed to be performing spiritual deliverance from the spirit of his late father, whom they claimed was haunting his family. At the point, Matthew ran into huge debt. as a result of going from one church to the other, meeting pastors and prophets for family deliverance, and got defrauded by a plethora of them. Mario said this happened to him almost every 3 weeks, and subsequently sister began to have similar dreams. This was what led to severe exploitation on Mario. What these prophets told him became relatively real and believable when one of them said that Matthew's sister was not getting married because the spirit of the dead is discouraging her fiancés, that if they do not visit their village compound quickly for deliverance of the land and do other assignments he directed, which require a lot of money, the scheduled marriage ceremony of Matthew's sister was going to crumble. Mario had already taken two prophets to the village compound in Ughelli, burning resources from Lagos, so he didn't subscribe to doing that again. It happened that they both had similar dreams, seeing their father in the same posture, and within a week, the boyfriends of Matthew's sister cancelled the scheduled marriage without giving any reason and started dating Mario's sister's best friend. They all ascribed this boyfriend action of insincerity to their refusal to obey the prophet. Mario blamed himself quite momentously. Mario was forced to take financial interest-bearing loans, calculated as interest-free loan on paper, from one of the customers in the bank he worked, whom he was managing our account, using his salary account check as collateral to meet up with what the prophet told him to do. Mario couldn't pay back the money. The customer lodged the check, it bounced. Despite all pleas for patience, the customer filed a complaint before the police under the Dishonest Check Act. Mario was arrested and consequently sacked by the bank. All called to his church pastor for prayers and intervention to convince the police not to charge him to court were not responded. In fact, he told Matthew's sister that evil powers that Matthew's father acquired while alive were too many, that he believed the disease killed innocent people. The reason their intercessional prayers were not answered, he wouldn't want to be associated with them anymore. Other church members also rejected Matthew and the sister, the family, of course. But Mario had one luck. 18 days under incarceration at the police cell without being charged to court, and couldn't meet up requirement for administrative bail. I was looking for an account officer to help fast-track clearance of a large sum transaction, as the beneficiaries of the money complained about delay in getting the credit. The difficulty placed were that being outside Nigeria to instruct the transaction, I could only reach the bank by emails that were not responded to. So Mario came to my mind after my last attempts failure to reach the bank's branch manager. I telephoned Mario to ask for his assistance because the beneficiaries of the funds were putting much pressure. The telephone was picked by a policeman who arrogantly informed me that Mario was in their custody. I demanded to know what happened. He told me OBT. And I asked what that was. He said Mario obtained money by false pretense. I told him that the Mario I know, who owns the telephone line, wasn't such a person. He told me God does not write criminals on people's faces. While I sought my telephone contact for another bank officer, I pleaded with the police inspector let me talk to Mario. He insisted I must come to their station, but I informed the policeman that I would not visit the station because I was outside Nigeria. He obliged me his own telephone line. 3 hours later, I was able to talk to Mario, who told me it was the case of dot check, that they were taking him to court the next day. The policeman confirmed they would be taking Mario to court the next morning, that their legal department had prepared a charge. I pleaded with him to give me telephone lines of the complainant because I know under the Dishonor Check Act of Nigeria, defense mechanisms of the accused is very slim. It's one of the bad news made by Nigerian parliament. Very bad law. One of the bad laws made by Nigerian parliament. Even payment of the debt after you are charged is not a remedy, as to the president. My aim was to ensure that the charge was dropped. So I spoke with the complainant and asked for her account details to pay her the next day. I pleaded with her she will have no benefit if Matthew is sent to prison. She was adamant and said the case was now in police called, not us. I didn't want to tell the complainant that the police commissioner of the jurisdiction was my very good friend. I wanted a legal step of resolving the issue, not a Nigerian way of influencing and obstructing the due process of law. So I deliberately refused to call the commissioner, yet because I didn't want to intervene or obstruct police duty outside legal approach. All I needed was the complainant's cooperation to withdraw the complaint and leave the police for me to engage. So I felt humiliated by her arrogance, the complainant's arrogance. I telephoned the commissioner and told him my concerns and how I know Mario, and confided in him that Mario's mother was a cardiological patient who may not survive if her only son is under such trial. That I didn't want him to abuse his office, but I was asking for peaceful resolution with the complainant, and I was paying the debt for Mario. The next morning, the dispute was resolved and the complaint withdrawn. So Mario had the time to narrate to me what he called spiritual warfare with the spirit of his deceased father that landed him in that mess. He said the father was haunting them in a dream, and more they see him, more trouble he and his sisters had. So I laughed over Mario and his church prophet, who interpreted dreams of seeing his father. I asked Mario a few questions as follows. Were you close to your father? He said yes, we bonded quite closely. Did you at any time observe he was a murderer, as he said? He said not at all. My father was a lover of humanity, and even as we speak, my mother does not want to agree that he was a wicked man. She is confused. I was shocked to realize he was an occult wicked man. At this point, I bursted into a great gale of uncontrollable laughter and continued to ask Mario, "Did you ask your dad in those dreams or by words or thought when you awake what he wanted from you folks?" Matthew said, "Of what business is the dead and the living? Why will I ask the spirit such question in the dream when I am scared?" "What did you always do?" I asked Matthew again. "What did you always do?" He said, "I always got up from such sleep, and immediately I woke up, I would carry my Bible and rebuke him and call on the Holy Ghost to burn him into ashes. I would spray the olive oil the prophet gave me around the room. My sibling says he always do the same thing and call our pastors and prophets to pray," said Matthew. So I told Matthew, I called Mario. I called him twice. I know they are earthbound spirit whose dark energy or strong attachment to material world makes it difficult for them to transit fully faster. But I don't receive feeling that your dreams of seeing your dad as a result of being earthbound. One day you will die. If your son called you wicked when you were not a wicked man while in the body, and invoke curses on you while you are in the spirit world, how will you feel?" Mario paused and then said, "But why is he hurting us? And how do you conclude he was not a wicked man?" "I shall come to that," I retorted. "I shall come to that, Mario," I retorted. "I am not a church prophet, but I can help you scientifically if you open your mind," I assured Matthew. Then I started educating Mario, howbeit blithely and less deeply, about the realm of dreams, of which I feel delighted to share with you today, right now. Let's start with what is dream. Dream is another form of existence that accompanies every soul personality from birth until death. It is part of nature that affects every soul personality, which is imbued or veiled in duality or trilogy of existence. It is one of the very scientific proofs that man is made of body, spirit, and soul. It is a form of nature manifesting images and symbols that express the mental, physical, and spiritual experiences of man, and it is normally an indispensable nature that sustains the balance of the physiological and psychic nature of man. Everyone dreams, but for some cognitive and psychological reasons, which are not within the scope of this discourse, not everyone can remember their dreams or remember that they had dreamed. In fact, I agree with the view of one of the leading Swiss prominent psychologists and psychiatrists, Carl Gustav Jung, born July 26, 1875 and died June 6, 1971, the author of Analytical Psychology, who postulated that if a subject is experimentally prevented from dreaming, it will lead to serious psychic and physiological disorders, that is, manifesting a grave mental disequilibrium and insanity. That tells you that dream is part of nature of life. Dreams are very important messages or a flow of messages within the universal nature or scheme. In fact, some important dreams are not just dreams, but experiences of levels of consciousness or access to other planes of consciousness. Dreams further prove that there is a coexistence relation of the past, the present, and the future. Dreams or sources of dreams have various classifications, which are the premonitory or anticipatory dreams, reactive or compensatory dreams, self-informative dreams, lucid dreams, subjective dreams, progressive dreams, divinatory or visionary dreams, curative dreams, inspiratory dreams, incubation dreams, projective dreams, initiatic or transformative dreams. However, all dreams are informative or quasi-informative. But the most complex aspect of dream is the ability to understand what classification source your dream falls into and the meaning of dreams. This is where people become gullible and most times fall into deception, running to third parties for dreams interpretation and prophecies. Explanation of the above classes of dreams, just enumerated, is not within the scope of this present discourse. I encourage you to follow me on the subsequent discourse to understand what they mean.